Mhm.
And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, Jensen. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'll be here as best as I can. No promises, mind.
For those who don't know, my name is Nomad, and I've been following these situations for a while, and I've got some commentary to make on the world stage. It won't all be Ukrainians, but we're definitely going to start with the Ukraine. All right, and we're going to start with just a small little snippet here from this. This is from AFP, and we're just going to play a little audio here.
Will think twice about what they're doing. It seems highly unlikely at this stage that
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin is going to pull back his troops
No
because
shit.
of the threat of any kind of sanction. As to
Okay.
whether the outside world is prepared to come to military assistance to Ukraine, that's another matter. It's unlikely, as we've heard from the Americans, that any American or NATO troops will put their feet on Ukrainian soil to come to the assistance of Ukraine. But that doesn't mean there will be no military assistance. Earlier today, Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, was speaking about stepping up military aid to Ukraine, getting weapons into the country. And there are countries like Germany, for instance, which have refused up until now.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to play.
Mhm.
They've refused
Yeah.
up until now to actually give military aid to the Ukraine. No, I'm not saying that they have to. And the idea that NATO is concerned, and to be honest, there's only one. Well, there's four nations. There's four nations that you have to be concerned about.
Mhm.
Okay, from a NATO perspective, and that is you have to be concerned about Poland. Okay, you
Mhm.
have to be concerned about the Baltic states, the three Baltic states: Latvia, Estonia, and uh, Lithuania.
Yep.
Okay, now all that being said, right, this is a major military operation of some to some degree. The question is what is going on? All right, now you've sent this over here. We have a nice little thing where we got all these little uh, little icons here, videos of a missile hitting the western Ukraine, bombings, obviously footages from artillery. Oh, that's just artillery. Then they
Yeah.
should show that should be a tank or two, right? Rather
Yeah.
than a tank column, right? An explosion, taking out an airfield, all right? Warplanes everywhere, right? An Su-25 was shot down. Okay,
Nice.
so I don't know what the heck this is. I'm trying to, this is quite going. I almost had even
Oh.
more stuff to look at a little bit closer. All right, the Ukrainians are getting the crap kicked out of them.
Yeah.
All right, now the Russians, they're going to fight. All right, I don't want people to minimize this. Right, I honestly didn't expect the Russians to go into this degree. I kind of just expected them to move into the breakaway things that they claimed were independent.
Yep.
Right, but at the same time, all these things are got to be concerning. Right, Russia and Vladimir Putin has been rattling, sabers about the Ukrainians for a long freaking time. All right, and the Ukraine as a whole. And for those people who want to, they want to sit up there and put their 2 cents in here, hey, feel free, right? Y'all can sit up there and jump on in too, right? But I'm just going to give you my view of the situation, right? My view of the situation is there's nothing we can do about this, okay? The time for
Unfortunately.
us to have done something about this was long before this year, long before last year. The time to do something about this was to take out people during the Obama administration and start slapping them. Okay? Am I wrong? It was the Obama administration that was sitting there telling Vlad to sit up there and go in. Tell Vlad that I'll have a lot more room to maneuver. All right, once I get reelected. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think he was talking about? You were going to get serious about the Ukraine. When was that exactly? When was it you were planning to get all you leftists up there that are screaming and crying? When were you going to get serious about this? There are people dying left and right now, all right? And you're sitting around going, oh, we got to do so. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
No. Instead, you started walking around, and I could show you a video, right, where this freaking egghead leftist comes back and goes, Vladimir Putin needs to understand that the world has moved. It's no longer realpolitik. The world isn't the way it used to be, Vlad. Oh, yeah? Hey, jackass, Harris, right? Vlad just told you were wrong. What are you going to do, boy? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? It looks like Vlad has a better understanding of realpolitik and the world politics than you idiots do. Because you were walking around going, the world is all safe and fine. Remember, it was just a few years ago when a certain individual, Barack Hussein Obama, was trying to go, hey, the 1980s are calling for their foreign policy back. Russia's not the threat. ISIS is the geopolitical threat. ISIS is the... Hey, Barack, all you people that were talking about that and were cheering it on and cheering this asshole on, right? Show me the positives. Show me one freaking positive that from any time, anything that a Barack Obama has done. All right, from a foreign policy perspective. Because this is the result now. And if you're going to come bitch and combine and whine and bitch and cry and go, well, congratulations. You got exactly what conservatives like me have been telling you you're going to end up with.
Yep.
And I've got something more news for you sons of bitches. All right? We need to pull out of NATO. We don't need to be in NATO. We can. These people are all crying. Oh yeah, how are you gonna do that? You know what you tell the Germans? Good luck. You know what you tell the French and the Greeks? Good friggin' luck. You know what you tell Erdogan? You know what? F you. I hope Russia comes after you next. And I'm not saying that because I want Vladimir Putin or I'm supporting him in any way, shape, or form. But it's about time you bastards started stepping up to the damn plate.
Yeah.
How many times? I can take you through all sorts of freaking YouTube episodes complaining about U.S. military, complaining about the amount of money we spend. Okay, well then show us you guys can do it without us. Come on, let's see whether or not you guys can actually stand up and live up to your freaking commitments. We have to defend Europe. Why? They don't want to defend themselves. Why the hell do we have to? Good afternoon, Doku. If you want to, let me know. You're more than welcome.
You do know that this can all be dealt with really easily and will stop the war in an instant. All you have to do is point out to dear old Vlad, you're upsetting me. You can't do that. That's bad. And the war will be over. Just send in the leftist. There won't be a war. Everything will be fine. And we'll all sit around going kumbaya. And everything will be wonderful.
Yeah. Just
No?
like this, right? Oh. Just like this here, you know. Germany, Schultz halts the Nord Stream 2 pipeline as the Ukrainian crisis deepens. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz put on ice the certification of the Nord Stream. In other words, they haven't canceled it.
No.
We're not moving forward with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, once again, it's duplicity from our freaking supposed allies.
Yep.
Okay, these are not allies. All right, you know what these are? These are parasites.
Mm-hmm.
Germany is not an ally; it's a parasite. All right, Denmark is not an ally; it's a parasite. All right, France, Italy, all right, Spain, all of you. As far as I'm concerned, from a U.S. perspective, you're not allies; you're parasites. That's all you've ever been.
Yes.
Or am I missing something here, Jensen? Do you think
Oh,
I'm being
no,
a
no,
little
no.
too harsh? All right, it's funny. Well, what's coming from the European Union? How come it's only the U.S. and England, all right, or Britain,
Mm-hmm.
who claim that they'll claim they're not Europeans? Which I'm not going to argue with you
We're
at
not.
this point. Okay, so where's the European commitment to any of this?
Oh, dude, there isn't one. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and support Putin, but quite simply, he can bloody have Europe for all I care. Okay.
Putin's a dictator. Putin's a brutalized dictator. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna say what he's doing in the Ukraine. And I got friends that have family there, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
And they're very concerned about what's going on because there's no good guy here. Okay. There,
Mhm.
the fact is a lot of this has happened, right? The breakup of the Ukrainian of the Ukraine, right, is a direct result of corruption,
Yeah.
right? It's their own internal corruption, which if it hadn't been furthered along, all right, by certain individuals, Joe, right, along with your son Hunter, along with a few other leftist groups in here like Merkel and a few of these others, Macron, right? If a lot of you assholes weren't in there trying to make sure that you could just keep that corruption going while you sit up there and got what you wanted out of the deals, right? So you want to talk about Russian corruption, and it's extensive, okay?
Oh yeah. Now,
But the people themselves see all they see is corruption. And then what do they see on one side? Well, now it comes down to an ethnic kind of thing. I'm ethnically Russian versus I'm ethnically Ukrainian.
yep. Just want to say one thing, okay? You notice you didn't have any of this with the previous president of the US. In fact, you didn't hear anything.
Oh no,
To
no,
be
they're
completely honest.
well, good old Zelensky then should have stood up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Zelensky should have stood up and said, "Here's all the information. Here's what Hunter actually did. Here's all the records for this stuff, and put it all out there for everybody instead of trying to protect Joe Biden."
Oh yeah.
Now I realize a lot of people would have said, "Well, you know that's interfering in the U.S. elections." No, it's about time we expose the corruption of these fools, and they're all a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to pull out of NATO now. We need to be. I was watching another link, P Dog Night, and P Dog's really good if you catch a show in the morning. And one of the guys started talking about, you know, the Russian tanks and how good they are or not, and I'm not afraid of the Russians and blah blah blah. Okay, and I'm not saying you should be, okay, except for the nukes, right? Right? Nuclear weapons are nuclear weapons, folks.
Yeah.
All right. But you can take that too far.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you can take it to the point where you're not recognizing and not respecting the enemy for what they are. You'd better respect the Russians from their willingness to sacrifice and their willingness to fight and their willingness to bleed.
Yep.
All right. Now, sure, our equipment is better. That doesn't mean that, you know, so the Russians have 25,000 tanks, right? And the guy was saying we have 8,500 tanks. All right, well, let's take a look at this. Well, but the Russian tanks, you know, they're all shit. Our tanks could take them. Yeah, but while our tanks are busy trying to engage those shit tanks of theirs, right, they keep rolling up closer and closer. The Russians have been known to wave attacks where they'll sacrifice mass just so they can get the dagger in.
So what you're trying to say is that the tank commander leans out of the cup here and says, "Charge forward so as I can hit them with my saber." This is what you're
If that's
telling me.
if that's what it takes, yes.
Actually, yeah, I'd accept that.
All right. He's, he's the Russians are not stupid either.
No.
All right. Yes, so Russian equipment is not as robust in some ways as people trying to claim it is, and there are overestimations to the capabilities. All right, but that doesn't mean their stuff is just non-existent.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've seen several attacks. I mean, the Ukrainians have said that they've shot down several Russian warplanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good thing, all right, except for the fact that the Ukrainians, how long can they do that for?
True.
All right. Here's the question: if we decided to help with weapon systems and so forth going into the Ukraine, right? How are we going to get those systems there? Where are we going to ship them to? Are we going to? Do we have a teleporter that we can now aim freaking teleported freaking weapon munition systems into Kiev?
No, but it's kind of cool if we did.
If we had those kind of teleporters, I don't think I'd be using them to teleport in weapon systems to the Ukrainians.
No, I'll be using teleport weapon systems into the Russians, or more the point, target.
Well, yes. I mean that sounds a little more valuable. Or you could teleport them away, like they're got a slow tanks, and you just go zip, and now the slow tanks is back in Siberia.
No. You teleport a nuke into the middle of the Kremlin, and a lot of the problem is dealt with. But little thing, I'm not certain, okay, and I really hope you're going to tell me I'm wrong. I really, really hope you're going to tell me I'm wrong. But apparently, they're actually working on antimatter bombs.
Well, yeah, but the problem with antimatter bombs is size.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Technically, a bomb, a nuclear weapon, is a type of antimatter.
Yeah.
As fission takes place, and as fusion takes place, what you have is a creation of positrons, which then decay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's where a lot of the energy releases. How many javelins do the Ukrainians have? You talking about the javelin systems that we gave them? You know,
I'm hoping that's what he's talking about. Either that, or he's talking about pointy sticks. At which point,
if you want to know the truth, I can tell you the answer, Doka. It's not enough.
Not wrong.
And javelins aren't going to do a whole lot of other things. What? Yes, you were going to say something?
No, Matt. Do you want to actually give him the option of coming in again?
Yeah,
you're in charge of it after all.
Yeah, let him in.
Okay, I will send him the link if he chooses to pop in. Carry on chatting.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I'll put the link here if anybody wants to come in. They're more than willing to come in.
Okay.
All right, and click. Oh, there. That's what I was looking for. All right, close. Paste. There. If you guys want to come on in, feel free. Yeah. All right. The thing is there's nothing we can do about this right now. All right. It's a bad situation. People are dying. Okay. It was bound to happen. All right. And this is the other thing. When you can look at Putin and say that what he's doing is completely untold, right? But the reality is I want to read this because this is actually almost inspired, but of course, little Giles Frazier here is another little freaking commie. All right. You think I'm joking? Okay, well, let's watch this. All right. Threatened by an uprising of his treacherous generals, Christian Emperor Basil II, based in the glorious city of Byzantium, all right, reached out to his enemies, the pagans over the land of Rus. Basil II was a clever deal maker. If Vladimir of Rus would help him put down his revolt, he would give him the hand of his sister in marriage. This was a status changer for Vlad. All right, the marriage of a pagan to an imperial princess was unprecedented, but first, Vladimir would have to convert to Christianity. Returning to Kiev in triumph, Vladimir proceeded to summon the whole city to Kiev to the banks of the Dnieper River. I don't know how to pronounce that. Do you?
Not a clue, mate.
Right? Never done. For a mass baptism. Welcome, Goku. All right.
I did.
For mass baptism. This was the year 1988 or 988. Excuse me. 988. Right. This is the founding iconic act of the Russian Orthodox Christianity. It was from here that the Christianity would spread out and merge with the Russian love of the motherland to create a powerful brew of nationalism and spirituality. In the mythology of 988, it was as if the whole Russian people had been baptized. Vladimir was declared a saint. When the Byzantine Empire fell, the Russians saw themselves as a natural successor, their third Rome. All right. The Soviet Union tried to crush all of this, but failed. The post-Soviet era, thousands of churches were built or rebuilt throughout the West. Though the West thinks that Christianity is something enfeebled and declining, in the East it is thriving. Well, there's your first problem, Dick. Okay? All right, if you think Christianity is failing in the West, maybe you should be thinking about, well, is this a good thing or not, huh, Giles?
Mm-hmm.
No, you just took it as a fact. Well, we need to get rid of that stupid, mythology, that backward way of thinking, trying to treat people as they treat others. Those are old philosophies of the old past. It's the new humanity we must look at.
Yeah.
All right. Back in 2019, Patrick Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, boasted that they were building 3 churches a day. Last year, they opened a cathedral in the armed forces to the armed forces an hour outside of Moscow. Religious imagery merges with military glorification. War medals are set in stained glass, reminding visitors of Russia's martyrdom. Right, a large mosaic of more recent victories included the 2014 return to Crimea. All right, blessed are the peacemakers. This is not. Hey, Dick, what kind of Giles here? Since you're upset about this, can you tell me why you didn't bother with complaining about the imagery during the Soviet Union days? Well, there were no Christians. Oh, they were still glorifying war, right? They're still glorifying this, and it gets better, right? At the heart of the post-Soviet revival of Christianity is another Vladimir Putin, right? Many people don't appreciate the extent to which the invasion of the Ukraine is a spiritual quest for him. The baptism of Rus is the founding event for the formation of the Russian religious psyche, and the Russian Orthodox Church traces its origins back to there. That's why Putin is not so much interested in a few Russian-leaning districts in the Ukraine. His goal, terrifyingly, is Kiev itself. He was born in Leningrad. Oh, a city that reclaimed its original saint's name. Oh, really? But you didn't bother to use it, did you, Mr. Kami? All right? Isn't that amazing? How Mr. Kami here can go in there. Don't you understand? You should be an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that goes on to explain that Vladimir Putin still wears a cross that his mother baptized him in when he was an infant.
Yep.
Right. Now, I haven't talked a lot about Vladimir Putin's Christianity, right? And his religiosity. But I will say this, okay? It isn't a joke, right? It is something. Loud noises, Candid. It is something that's a part of who he is, and you'd better recognize it. Are you ready to speak, Dogu? I'm giving you a little bit of an option here to jump in. Doku at this point is like trying to get his ears. He can hear you.
No, I got interrupted because my cat was deciding to do some bullshit in the bathroom. I had to go stop him.
Of course.
You had to stop your cat from going to the bathroom?
Yes.
No, he's in the bathroom fucking around with shit, knocking stuff off the counter.
Fair. By the way, this whole thing with Putin, what do we do if, and this is just a suggestion, what if he sees himself as a paladin? How screwed are we at this moment?
You think
He does.
he does think of himself as a paladin? I'm not joking about this.
We are really screwed because
Right.
he is in his head. He's working on the word of God, and there is bugger all we can do about it.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
No one talks about this aspect of him. Go ahead.
We haven't asked the real fundamental question. I'm surprised Biden hasn't really come out and said this. Have the invasion forces have their diversity training yet?
We got that coming. Don't worry. We
That's all
got
laughing.
we got that discussion.
Hey, it's not a legitimate invasion if the forces invading don't have diversity and sensitivity training.
Assuming you're talking about the same story, I am so glad you're here to see it, Doku. I really, really am.
Don't worry. We'll talk about it. But this is the biggest part. Have you seen what they've been doing? Have you seen Cenk Uygur?
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Have you seen? And he's hardly the only one. There's a whole litany of these idiots.
Yeah.
Right. Who are talking about? Well, this is white supremacy. Right.
It's okay. We all like him.
If Vladimir Putin was only black, then they would have stopped him. This is the nonsense that they're spewing.
These people are legitimately insane. Like the right wing likes Putin not because he's an authoritarian dictator, but because he's a white male. It's like, oh my god. First off, Russia is an Asian country.
Well, Russia is not really Asian. I mean,
Russia's confused.
Russia is large, right?
Yes.
And it has a very diverse population.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the thing. Russian is not a white European country. It's not.
Well, but it is, in a way. I mean,
you can kind of make the argument, but if we're really going by demographics, like it's about as white and European as, I don't know, Greece or Slovakia is.
Oh, you mean white adjacent? Gotcha.
I think if you go to Moscow, you'll see a lot more white people than you will in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly,
honestly, that wouldn't surprise me.
That's not to say that they don't have a multi-ethnic population, all right? But the reality is Russia on its eastern half in the Siberia in the Mongol area. Yes, you can say that that's heavily Asian.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a large Asian influence. But on the eastern side of the Urals, all right, it's white.
Yeah, it's a bunch of snow monkeys.
All right. I mean,
So
it's about as white as
hammer.
you can get. So I mean, you're not gonna create anything different than that. But the thing is about Vladimir Putin that I've been observing for a long time, and I've mentioned to several people offline, but never online before. Vladimir Putin really is someone who's been trying to push the Greek Orthodox or the Russian Orthodox religion, all right, and the spread of it. And he does not tolerate, okay, a lot of things. This is why when certain groups decided they wanted to try and take on Putin and actually, show their disgust for Putin, what did they do? Is they ran over to a cathedral like what Pussy Riot did, right? When Pussy Riot decided they were going to have their little upheaval and then found out, holy shit, they're serious about arresting us. Yeah, they were. You're going to try to interrupt a mass service, right? To protest Putin? Not a good idea. Okay.
Again, I go back to the paladin concept.
And what's more is right now there were anti-war protesters trying to march in Moscow.
Yeah, I don't see that going too splendidly for them.
How can you say that? They voluntarily chose to drink those liquid, the bubbling one. I mean, what? They insisted. Are you going to disagree?
They insisted on drinking the nerve agent. No.
I mean, I heard they were just trying to I heard they're just trying to prove or disprove the existence of God. That's it.
All right. Putin is a dictatorial thug with delusions of grandeur. Okay? Understand this. Also understand that if you guys wanted to stop this son of a bitch, you should have done it back in the Barack Obama days by not electing people like Barack Obama, who are walking around today and going, oh, Vladimir, oh, how could he do this to us? When you were the ones who encouraged him to do it.
Oh, and this is the other thing. It's not like the Russian insurgents, insurrectionists, rebels, whatever you want to call them, over there on the eastern section of Ukraine. They didn't just spring up overnight. They've been there for what, the better part of like 7-8 years, something like that.
70 years.
Well, you could probably trace it back, but in the more modern iteration, I believe that conflict has been going on for since like 2014, 15.
Yeah, well, no, when he invaded Georgia and put an end to the Georgian attempted a revolt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember it was right after. It was like right around the time of the Euromaidan, Orange and Rose Revolution. Like right after that is when this stuff started. Like it never went away.
And then Crimea, all right, which was okay. So if we're gonna move in and stomp on Georgia, we might as well finish the job. Right?
Well, again, that's the thing. If you guys cared about Ukraine so damn much, if NATO was so worried about Russia invading, you had a long ass time to do something.
Well, NATO had no business getting involved in NATO, all right, or involved in the Ukraine. We never should have been trying to tell the Ukrainians, come in. Why do you want such a frickin' backward, corrupt nation into NATO? We've got enough problems. Don't we have enough corruption going on?
Well, I'm not saying they should have. I'm just saying if they're clutching their pearls about it now, I don't want to hear it, because if y'all were this crazy upset about it, you could have done something a long ass time ago. So yeah.
Well, they shouldn't have been involved trying to do anything with it. They shouldn't have been trying to mess with it. Go ahead.
I can explain why they wanted them in. I mean, like you said, backwards and corrupt is well known. Got to catch them all. They are obviously treating them like Pokemon. I mean, what is the problem?
They needed to put a stop to the kind of nonsense of these idiot Europeans. Because right now, what you got right now is the Europeans leading this. All right, well, I say let the European lead. I say that we pull out of NATO now and let the Europeans solve this problem. The Germans supposedly have about 500, or I mean, about 2,500 main battle tanks, right? We know for a fact that less than 200 of them, all right, are actually in working condition. I'm sorry, but if you want to sit up there and talk to me about the ability of NATO, if you want to talk to me about the ability or these supposed allies, that these people are supposed to be allies and not what they really are, which are parasites, right? They're just European parasites. You know what? We need some dewormer. Okay? That's what we need. All right, because I've had enough of these people sitting up there constantly getting on their high horses and parading the United States, not supporting the United States when it comes to things like the UN and UN resolutions and everything else. If you want to backdoor us at every opportunity, go protect yourselves.
Yep.
It's about time that all these people, all these leftists, stood up and said, you know what? You want to protect the Ukraine? Pick up a rifle. The Ukrainians are asking them, begging for people right now. Now's your chance. Hey, Chink, pick up a rifle, man. Get your ass on out there. Go in there with all that money that you've had, that you're, instead of shoving it up your freaking nose, all right, or you or Anna's nose, right? Why don't you just kind of fly on over the rifle and do your duty to the left in the world, right? Show us how this globalism shit works.
I've had a good idea. We should send the climate change goblin over there. She's always complaining about global warming. I mean, it's freezing bloody cold there. She should be happy.
Here we got China nods to Russia's interest in attack on Ukraine. I'll tell you what we should be doing right now is we should be telling NATO to go pound sand. Meanwhile, we should be telling Taiwan, you know what, we're boosting you up there. And we should park 3 or 4 aircraft carriers off the coast. Okay, of Taiwan, because these guys are a much bigger threat China expressed support for Russia's interest in the Ukraine, but stopped short of calling the all-out offensive an invasion. Really? What are you going to call it? It's an invitation.
No, it was a visit. They just popped in for a cup of tea.
It's a health and welfare check. They're checking on the health and welfare of Ukrainians, door to door with tanks.
Yeah. Knock, knock. Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like one's alive. Blam! Okay, we'll take care of that. Glad we did the check.
Hey,
Can't let these things go.
They just had to make sure on the health and welfare. They were making sure it was ended. Yeah.
Meanwhile, what's our glorious leader do? We're going to put in sanctions.
Yeah.
I'm warning Americans today that there's going to be a cost because we're going to put in sanctions and it's going to cost us money. So, in other words, you're going to put in sanctions. Your effort to put in sanctions so that you can economically destroy Russia, and you warn Americans, we're going to destroy our economy to destroy the Russian economy.
Yeah. You mean the sanctions that Donald Trump had in place, and then you took off, and now you're going to have to escalate those even more? And oh, by the way, isn't Russia the one selling Europe a good amount of its oil and gas? And also, don't they have a pretty good relationship with, I don't know, China?
Yep.
Hey, do you really think that this is gonna do anything? Because I bet you Putin's just sitting there behind his desk in that same fucking suit and tie he's been wearing for the past 3 days, just laughing his ass off. Like, all right, true nation of Prussia, do what you want.
What are you gonna do?
Jack shit.
Show me the tens of thousands of Danish, all right, warriors that are headed to Poland now. Right. Show me the 50,000 German warriors. All right. Heading to Poland. Right. To booster up the Polish defense forces. All right. Well, where's the 100,000 French? You know, I mean, they haven't been doing anything in a while. Right. The French armed forces are pretty rested up about now. Right. I mean, surely you guys can add a few, throw in a few Italians and so forth. Right. I mean, you guys wouldn't mind doing something like that. Go to Lithuania, put a few thousand, 10, 15,000 troops. Right. Of your own troops, right? Show us that NATO commitment. Come on, put in another 10,000 in Lithuania. Come on, let's see it. Let's see you step up, you freaking pieces of shit. All you have been parasites. All right, you parasites, it's time that a few of you head on up to freaking Lithuania.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, they won't do that. They want us to do it. They don't want to do it.
You know? Show us your commitment there. No commitment? No. See, we got to do this. We're the kind of gentler nation.
Oh, Sean has actually described it perfectly. Joe said he's the only one who's gone toe to toe with Putin. Yeah. Here we go, Doku.
You mean you licked his toes? Is that what he's saying? He's licked man's toes?
Yeah. Ego Doku. Enjoy.
What did you send? Oh, goodness.
This is a new Marine enlistment poster.
Wait, this is real?
Yes. Marine
this is
waifu.
real.
Just the way you said that. Perfect.
See, the bad part is it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
It is. This was at a Marine recruitment station in California. Now, granted, it's Marine recruitment in California. You gotta have to expect it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Marine waifu.
Oh no.
Oh, dude. Imagine if they put catgirls in there. Unless that's what they're doing next week, maybe.
God, that reminds me of somebody was reading an article about I think it was Yellow Flash, where the Army recruiters call the 18 to 25 group the Nintendo generation, and they call them that because it's not a verbatim quote, but it's close enough. They're inactive, or they've been inactive, so their skeletal structures can't suffer a lot of damage or like vigor, so they have more injuries during training. It's like like this was an actual concern under Army.
I gotta do a push-up.
Well, yeah, a big problem with getting according to what the army trainers were saying is that it takes longer for them to actually train new soldiers because they more frequently suffer stretched fractures, torn muscles and ligaments, things like that.
What are you talking about, Doku? According to the command sergeant major of the army, all right, we have the best trained soldiers ever coming out of basic training. All right, they sleep with their rifles.
Mhm.
Sir, that's an imprint, or that's an image of a rifle on a pillow, sir. It's called a body pillow.
Oh dear Lord! What I'm saying is rifle waifu. What a concept!
Yeah, so the Russians are busy laughing at us. They're laughing at NATO. They're laughing at all this. They know that you can't do anything with the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are fighting for their lives, and the Ukrainian as a nation is now. Let's be. All right. I'm gonna be real blunt. It's done. All right.
Yep.
It is now a puppet state. It has now returned to puppet status under the Soviets. Okay. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we have the capability of doing anything about it. And the reason for it is because the only ones who could physically do something would be the United States, but we can't trust, okay, quite frankly, any of the European allies to give us what's going to be necessary, the logistical support in order to carry it. Sure, we could move troops into there, right? But we couldn't keep them sustained or fed because people like the Germans, the Turks, the French, the Spanish, the Italians, they're such wonderful allies that we can't even overfly their airspace or fly out of their air bases to do it.
Can I throw an idea at you guys? It literally just flashed in my brain. So, the story 1984. They gave England a very specific name in it, and how it was basically America and England against the rest of the world because Europe didn't do bugger all. Does this remind you of anything at all? I mean, are we seeing this now? Is it me, or am I just I'm just imagining it, aren't I? Yeah.
See, I thought, though, that was supposed to take place in the Middle East after it had been stripped of resources because nobody wanted it.
Yeah, Ukraine's close enough to the Middle East, let's be fair.
Well, to be fair, they still have some oil and gas and some fertile farmland, but I guess if it does fall to Russia, then you will have the borders of 1984 pretty much drawn up as is from the book. It's kind of actually wow. I just realized that. That's kind of it's kind of eerie.
Yeah. Oops. I shouldn't have said anything, should I?
How are we going to prevent it? What else?
Where'd you put that nuke?
If you want the world to go up in flames, then go for it.
Hey, are you joking? This world has gone up in flames. It's really a matter of when more than if.
I mean,
From
at
the
this
Washington
point in time,
Post. I'm sorry for Goku. Let's get away from the Ukraine for a little bit. Let's talk to one of our other Erstat allies. Our wonderful ally. Trudeau revokes the emergency acts against the Freedom Convoy blockades. The situation is no longer an emergency. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday revoked the use of the emergency powers that he invoked to quell weeks-long blockades in the Canadian capital that spread to several U.S.-Canadian border crossings and inspired copycats abroad. Today, after careful consideration, we are ready to confirm that the situation is no longer an emergency, he said at a news conference in Ottawa. Therefore, the federal government will be ending its use of the Emergencies Act. Really? Now, first of all, the reason he's declaring that there's no emergency anymore is because even though they constantly reported how the House of Commons voted on it, it wasn't the entire Parliament, and the revolt had begun. It was very unlikely that their Senate was going to pass this. His extension that he just asked for on Monday. So Wednesday he goes, oh yeah, it's over. He asked for an extension Monday, and on Wednesday it's over? No.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what was going to happen, and it was going to be a freaking repudiation, and his government was going to fall.
Yeah.
But this goes also back to the Canadians and how Canadians view themselves. You know what? You Canucks, you need to stop smelling your farts. Okay? Because the rest of the world doesn't give a shit about you. All right? You guys are meaningless to the rest of the world. You think you have this great upstanding view that the rest of the world loves Canada? They don't give a shit about Canada. All right? And there's only one thing that prevents you from being freaking Russian. And that's the United States. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure we made the better deal.
I mean, I'm still pro annexing Alberta, but they can keep everything else.
Can you imagine Russians trying to deal with Canadians? These smug, self-righteous, freaking good-for-nothing asshats?
Don't talk about the Russians that way. That's not for. Oh, you're talking about
I was
Canadians.
talking
Gotcha.
about the Canadians. Now, it might be a bit too hard on the Canadians. Not all Canadians are like that. I understand that. Right?
No.
The Canadians and the Canadians can stand. But the problem is that they've been indoctrinated so far into this left shit. I'm sorry, but if you think my view of you is just a bit too harsh and overly harsh, all I have to do is say one word, Trudeau. All right? Show me. All right? Until you guys get rid of this freaking Marxist, leftist commie, all right? And that's what he is. Until you start saying, you know what? Maybe freedom really does mean something to us. Hey, you're gonna be speaking Russian or Chinese a lot sooner than you think you are.
You know, just give me a great idea for a comic book called The Trojan Bear.
Just go out there and paint a little maple syrup on it, and it'll be out there.
Subtitle. Oh, that's a nice gift, eh?
I mean, I'm sorry about this whole thing with the Ukrainians, right? I feel bad for the Ukrainians because they're dying, okay? And they're going to be killed and they're going to be subjugated. And that's the word. So they're going to be subjugated.
Yeah.
Right? But you know what? You trusted the wrong leaders. You trusted the wrong people, right? You didn't sit up there and take a good look at how you needed to get rid of corruption within your own nation. And the result is your nation has ceased to exist again. Right? And it's gone back to the way your nation has existed for hundreds of years in a quasi state where, yes, every now and then a Ukrainian strong leader rises and you be Ukrainian and proud to be Ukrainian again before the next Russian comes in there and wipes you and knocks you back down to the ground.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to another story. El Salvador president buys Bitcoin naked, he boasts. His experiment is costing his nation millions. This is from Kate Linthicum, excuse me. 4 months into El Salvador's experiment, as the first and only country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal currency, the International Monetary Fund has seen enough. Oh, geez. The IMF has seen enough. Oh, there's a threat. Oh, they've seen enough.
You sound terrified. You really do.
Drop Bitcoin now, its board of directors warned in January, saying that the cryptocurrency poses a large risk to the financial stability of the nation and its citizens. Really?
Yeah.
Translation, it poses a risk to the global fiat banking cartels, not so.
What stability, all right, has El Salvador been known for monetary stability throughout the world? Prior to the advent of Bitcoin?
Can't say it has.
Just put it out there. President Nayib Bukele, all right, fired off a response via Twitter, an internet meme that compared the IMF to Homer Simpson.
Oh,
The power-hungry populist who brands himself the CEO of El Salvador, Bukele has become one of the world's most foremost Bitcoin evangelists since pushing through a law through Congress that requires businesses to accept the cryptocurrency for goods and services. His grand plan has so far produced tepid results. El Salvador is believed to have lost as much as 22 million in reserves. All right, thanks to the dramatic plunges in the cryptocurrency's value, fraud, targeting users of the country's official Bitcoin wallet known as Chibo has been widespread, and at least 1,000 people reporting that their identities were stolen through the app. Despite Bukele's promise that Bitcoin would make life easier for millions of Salvadorans who don't have bank accounts, as well as those sending remittances from abroad, few appear to be using it in their daily lives. No shit. None of this has deterred Bukele, a former marketing executive known for his irreverent, internet-friendly antics. He kept acquiring more Bitcoins with the country's cash, bragging on Twitter about buying in the dip on his phone while naked. Doku, this is your room.
oh yeah.
I don't even know what to say to this one. For once, I actually am at a loss for words. Just what the fuck?
But Doku, you've told me you are always naked when you're in front of the computer. Oh, that's right now. Oops.
Are you trying to tell me that the Trojan bear has Bitcoin symbols for eyes?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
You know what it looks like. It looks like a honey dispenser. That's what the Trojan bear is.
I do hear that its charge is preceded by a techno song that can be heard in the distance saying, "You've got to pump it up."
Techno, I don't think so. Mm-hmm.
Now, it's an important question I have to ask. What kind of bear is it?
Oh, it's definitely Kodiak.
Okay, so it's a brown bear. It's not a black bear.
I thought it was Winnie the Pooh, but what can I say?
It's the true Russian polar bear. Oh, that's why it's a white bear. I should have guessed at the start.
It caught a bad case of the racist snow. It is now a white supremacist bear.
There are so many stupid people in the world. And we need to talk about more of them. Why Turkey is now Turkey? Why it matters?
Yes.
Have
Have you heard about this one, Doku?
No, this is actually news that I have not seen yet.
Oh, this is glorious.
Turkey's authorities have decided to rebrand their country's international image, and here's why. Earlier this month, Turkey's Erdogan, issued a communique tweaking the country's internationally recognized name from Turkey to Turkey. The word Turkey represents and expresses the culture, civilization, and values of the Turkish nation in the best way, said the communique. Don't you love how they use the word communique now? Are we? Don't you love how these Marxists just keep trying to bring back this whole freaking? And yet you're going to complain about Putin, right?
Yeah.
You know why it is? Like I said, because he's a Christian. That's why they're upset with him. Anyway, it's a joke, folks. It's a joke.
Honestly, I don't think that's much of a joke. To be perfectly fair.
The countries changing or tweaking their names is not as unusual as one might think. Businesses of nations branding can happen for a whole host of reasons, whether to rise above cliches, present a more positive image, or even for politics. In recent years, the whole industry has arisen, catering to countries and cities seeking to promote themselves internationally and taking charge of how the world sees them and their unique identity. Really? Most recently, the Netherlands has dropped the name Holland in a bid to simplify its image. The Netherlands called themselves Holland?
Yeah, ages ago, but yeah.
Macedonia changed its name to North Macedonia, all right, due to a political dispute with Greece. Iran changed its name from Persia, all right, a name that Westerners mainly use, right? Yeah, because now the word Iran means Persian in Farsi. Oh, there was. And what's their complaint? Turkey is Turkey in America, and it's a bird. They can't handle being on a dinner table.
Pretty much.
I don't think anybody in America ever confused the Turks and the nation of Turkey with a turkey on their dinner table.
Well, I don't know. Considering the current state of public education, that's debatable.
Well, maybe Tank did. Maybe that was a Chank mistake. I mean, I guess that's a possibility. Good old Shank Huger.
Hate to sidetrack you real quick, but this is just a breaking 911. As of 2 hours ago, a presidential advisor says Ukraine has lost control of the Chernobyl nuclear site after a fierce battle, from the Associated Press.
Okay, and?
I have no idea. I don't know. Well, I know why people were freaking out. Like, oh, it might spill radioactive material.
It's empty.
Okay, folks. The Chernobyl disaster, right, is quite a it was quite a disaster, right? Huh? Many people don't realize how bad it really was, right? It doesn't help by the people that are over stressing it today, but that there were a lot of things that went wrong, right? And not the least of which is the rules for running the reactor were ignored. Okay. All right. We can start with that one. Right. But the design of the reactor and everything was very substandard. All right. The area around that, I don't know why you'd be fighting around that area. All right. Because it is radioactive. Right. There are people that live in there. Okay, but it is not. It's not a big deal. One of the obviously the area that melted down. All right, they have they attempted to seal it. The attempts to seal it are they're not truly as effective as we wish they would be.
Dude, are you going to mention the mutant two-headed dogs or not?
There were not mutant two-headed. Well, there were.
Thank you.
There were a number of immediately after the disaster. There were a number of animals, farm animals, and so forth that did show mutations. Two-headed cats, three-eyed lizards. The whole shebang. Right? They didn't last long, and none of them were viable. They all died, but they did happen.
That's what they tell you. Actually, there are tribes of them out there. They're turning the entire place into the Hills of Eyes. Part 3.
No, they're not. Okay, but the area around Pitrip, I'm butchering the name, which was the city right outside of there, Pripyat. It has been basically reclaimed by nature. There are now a number of wolf. There's a huge wolf population that has been expanding, right, in the area, and it's not a nice place, right? So if there was one, like I said, one of the reactors had melted down, they had stopped most things on the other reactors, but I do believe they had one of the reactors was still using. It was still running. Right. So,
I did point out about the two-headed dogs, okay, and you're saying there's like tribes of wolves there. Just dropping subtle hints.
There's not tribes of two-headed wolves roaming around.
Sure, cool.
You don't have Cerebus running around breathing fire on the natives.
Of course the three-headed dog's not breathing fire. Everybody knows it shoots laser beams out of its eyes.
Exactly. Close friends with the laser-eyed kiwi that everyone's talking about.
Let's get on to another story. Amid the surge in deaths, a safe place to get high and to avoid an overdose. All right, Christiana Peterson anxiously tapped the heels of her boots on the tile floor inside a brightly lit lobby. Moments earlier, she had given her date of birth to an intake coordinator, right, and answered an inquiry about the drug she planned to use. Heroin! She said, referring to the tiny glassine envelope stamped off-white tucked into her black purse.
Yeah.
Folks, these things don't help anybody. It's like saying that opium dens were a good thing. Do people remember what opium dens were like?
No, that was how good they were. They couldn't remember anything.
I mean, to be fair, the movie The Hangar seemed like a good idea, but we just had to escalate it a little bit because, Hollywood always dumbs stuff down for us.
This woman, she is now battling her addictions. At one point, she tried to battle it with methadone, but relapsed and was rushed to an emergency room after she overdosed in a park a few blocks away from an elementary school.
Wow.
Well then.
So where is this place at? Probably a few blocks away from elementary school.
See, what you don't mention, she was actually one of the teachers at the school.
I'm not even gonna comment because it's probably true.
No, that's the problem. I'm making jokes, but it might not.
U.S. House candidate sorry for intoxication during a sleepover. A U.S. House candidate in Oklahoma apologized after reports that she became intoxicated at a Valentine's Day party weekend sleepover for middle school aged girls, berated several of the children, and then vomited in a hamper. Democrat Abby Boyles, 32, told the television station KFOR that she had an adverse reaction after drinking wine and taking a sleeping medication given to her by a friend.
Not anymore. She's not a friend.
Instead of helping me sleep, I hallucinated. I don't remember anything until I woke up or came to, and I was throwing up in a hamper. Now, the bad part about this woman is that she initially tried to deny it. That all this took place. Lady, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You might as well end your career now as far as a politician goes because it's freaking over. You're not. You're done. Now, maybe a university will hire you to teach kids how to sit there and properly drink and hamster dive.
By the way, Nomad, you might want to mention which party she belongs to. I'm sure Doku's dying to know.
Oh, no, she was a Democrat. All right, but that's okay. Because we have a Republican for the next story.
Oh, yeah.
Texas candidate kicks up controversy by posing nearly nude atop an oil pump. This Texas primary race is off the rails. A woman running for the railroad commissioner in the Lone Star State has raised eyebrows over her racy campaign video in which she straddles an oil pump wearing little more than a cowboy hat and boots. They said I needed money. I have other assets, said GOP lawyer Sarah Stottinger, 37, in a tweet.
Yeah.
It's a way to be seen.
To be fair, it did work for Kamala, so.
Kamala did not sit up there and put out an ad that said, "Vote for me, I have tits."
Well, yeah, she didn't have to. Everybody already knew it. Maybe she's willing to go further than this chick.
Oh, I knew it would be controversial, but I didn't realize it would incite rage and anger. Really? And you're running on the GOP ticket, huh?
Should have run as a Democrat. All you'd have to do is just say, I'm exercising my womanly wiles. I'm strong and independent.
That's the problem. She'd get away with it if she did that. You know that, right?
Oh, of course you would.
I'm going to skip the Mexican stories. It's getting late, and I'll just do these last two stories here. A shooter fired at an officer. Police say it was a 4-year-old acting on his dad's instructions. As police struggled to arrest a man who allegedly pulled a gun on a McDonald's workers for messing up his order, one of the officers turned toward the man's car. He saw a gun pointed at his fellow officers. The officer swiped the gun to the side as it fired, and the bullet grazed his arm. All right, shooting up into the awning of the McDonald's drive-thru. It was then that he noticed that the shooter was a 4-year-old boy. Police said the boy fired because his father, Sadat Johnson, told him to shoot the officers. Well,
I can explain this if you like. It's actually easy. The kid had obviously been watching Simpsons and was doing an impression of Maggie Simpson. That's all it was. Everyone knows this.
I can't say that the child did something wrong.
And to be fair, the kid listened to his dad, so I mean, I can't even really be mad at this one. It's
shoot him! He's trying to get your daddy. Okay.
I mean, worst case scenario, if shit ever went down and someone tried to break into the house, at least the kid knows how to take off the safety, load the weapon, point it, and pull the trigger. So
the scary part about this, folks, is it's amazing that the cop didn't shoot the kid. Yeah. Because you already saw what it was like. The guy saw a gun. They don't even see who's behind the gun. All right? When police officers are making an arrest, if they see a gun, they don't even see the person.
No.
Right? They see a gun. They see a weapon. They see a threat. Now, luckily, this guy was probably too close to pull his own gun, so he ended up swiping at it with his hand, and it went off.
Yeah.
But can you imagine that kid? Seriously, it's a good story in that at least the child didn't die from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, good point. And like I said, this out of a situation that could have been very, very, very bad, this is pretty much the best outcome you could hope for.
Exactly.
Aside from, I don't know, maybe not telling your kid to shoot at the cops like that. We could have started there, but
yeah, you gotta be. You're not go up for Father of the Year if you're telling your 4-year-old to go out there and shoot at a cop. Because basically what you're doing is you're telling your 4-year-old to go get him killed. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a scumbag, dude.
Yeah.
All right, last story of the day. Naked lawyer busted for bar antics. After being denied service, the woman doffed her clothes. After she was refused service by the bar manager, a drunk Florida lawyer, what a surprise, went into the restroom and then emerged unclothed and completely naked, according to the police.
Because that'll definitely get the bartender to serve you.
Goku, just take a look at the picture.
I'm sorry, we're cutting you off. You're too drunk. I'm not too drunk. Watch this. According to the rest of the report, Kelly Elkins, 49, entered the beach lounge at St. Pete Beach around 2:15 a.m., but was intoxicated to the point where the manager refused to serve her. You got to be pretty intoxicated before they stop giving you alcohol. Instead of departing, Elkins walked into the restroom and then came back out into the bar unclothed and completely naked. When Elkins, seen at the right, refused the manager's request to get dressed, the cops were summoned. This guy even tried. This guy did everything he could to try and stop this.
Yeah.
To be fair, she's probably used to going to the bar in Chernobyl.
Don't be silly. She can't get there. The two-headed wolves will get her first.
Upon arriving at the bar, the Pinellas County Sheriff noted that Elkins was still naked and had repeatedly been told to get dressed, but the attorney would only put on a hoodie, which she did not zip up. Elkins, the cops reported, claimed that she was too tired to put on her pants.
Florida's a magical place.
She's charged with disorderly conduct and was booked to the county jail, from which she was later released on her own recognizance. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. It's just, it's a thing. But let's be fair. Did anyone ever think that this wouldn't happen in Florida?
No.
Nah.
The thing is, I think that most people think it happens in Florida all the time.
You know,
Yeah.
to be fair, Jensen, at least you gave me one good thing to come out of the story is Jensen gave me an idea. Tolkien has the prancing pony. I'm going to have the two-headed wolf.
You sure it's not a two-headed bear?
Oh, no, the Trojan bear is going to be a different one.
Yep.
The two-headed Trojan bear.
That's a horrific image. And don't forget, and just to really gross people out, it's covered in maple syrup.
It used to be a polar bear, but now it's been drowned. It's brown because it was dipped in maple syrup. It's been stained.
You can hear it sticking from the snow a mile away.
The Eskimos followed around. The kids get little like icy treats.
Yep. See what it is as it tries to bash through the tree. It's like, sorry.
This day. All right, I appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Any last words, Doku?
Don't go to Ukraine.
You're not going to say anything about Bitcoin?
I don't even know. Again, if you have that type of leader,
You know, she'd have been better off if she was just saying that she was trying to buy Bitcoin.
No, guys, you don't want Bitcoin. You want Goid coin. It's the only coin to get.
this is true. You do need Goid coin.
All right. Any last words, Jensen?
Only one thing to say, really. There are two-headed wolves. He's lying. No one else is winning it yet. Oh, yours.
Thanks for going out, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
And they have 3 tails.